they started introducing those straws that are made from, what is that material? It's like those paper straws, as opposed to plastic straws. And everyone hates those straws. Like, I don't know how many people I've heard, like, my friends just be like, ugh, why did they make these straws? They're so annoying. Bring back plastic straws.
Aftertaste as well.
That aftertaste and everything. And it just makes me think about mindset, perspective, and how young people just really have this idea that being environmentally friendly, caring for the environment is very daunting. It's very uncool. We're not interested in it. We don't get it. We actually don't get it. We don't understand why it's important, because social media also has this opposing agenda. This agenda of we should be consumerists, like we should buy so much because that is the aesthetic way of living. But the aesthetic way of living is so often detrimental to our environment, right?
It speaks a lot to consumer culture.
Right.
When things in media are, become trendy, then everybody wants to buy into it. I remember, with the whole metal straw things, nobody wanted to use metal straws until it became a trend. Until everyone was like, oh, metal straws only. I only use my metal straw. You whip it out in the restaurant, metal straw only.
Yeah.
Because it became trendy to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to move towards, with being environmentally friendly, is to make this apparent to everyone that it's actually important, as much as a trend it should be your everyday lifestyle to be recycling.
But I feel like, as young people really find it so uncool to keep the environment like a safe space for us to actually live there. There are a lot of things that we can do. Engaging in initiatives, sustainable initiatives. We can volunteer, like I am. We don't like boring spaces. So if ever they'll try to lure us with maybe food or incentives, we can actually go there and at the back of our minds it's all vibes and stuff like that, but we still getting the job done, which is caring for the environment, doing all of those things, and stuff like that.
That's what she said. The future is female and it's also green. I mean, you can see that I'm definitely dressed for this episode of That's What She Said, where we will be discussing the remarkable women who are pioneering in the blue and green economy, from creating sustainable ways of practicing fishing to harnessing renewable energy. Your host, Nonhlanhla Siwela, is not rolling alone. She is, of course, with lovely ladies who will be also shedding light on their perspective on the blue and green economy. Would you mind introducing yourselves?
Hi guys, my name is Ayanda and I am from East Rand in Zakane, and I'm a third-year student in UJ, and I'm doing BA, majoring in marketing and journalism. So yeah, that's me.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
And
too.
you?
Hi, I'm Amani and I'm a learner at high school, and I'm also really passionate about the environment. I've been involved in a lot of activism, and yeah, I'm so excited for today's episode.
Me too. And speaking about being interested in the environment and being involved in a lot of projects, what have you ladies done in your personal life when it comes to getting involved in the environment and going green? I mean, my perspective on it is I was vegan throughout high school, actually, since grade 8. And then I switched over to being vegetarian in matric. And that was just really sparked by, in bio, we learned about what animals have to go through just so we can have meat, Things like how they injected with all these hormones to make them grow faster, and how they kept awake, and just all these very, very vile conditions that they've been subjected to just so we can have meat. And just the fact that it's all part of overconsumption, just the fact that we actually eat a lot more meat than we have to, and how the meat actually that we consume is bad for our bodies, has contributed to the increase in cancer, particularly colon cancer. So I was very interested in going green. So my diet looked like avocado, broccoli. It was as green as my outfit, basically. My plates were always as green as my outfit, no meat. And then in matric, I had to switch over to being vegetarian because I was not really getting enough nutrients. I was really hungry. I mean, I don't think it's spoken about enough, just, how being vegan really limits your range of food that you can eat, especially in a country like South Africa. And I just really struggled with energy levels and all of that, and my vitamin levels were not up to scratch. So I had to go to switch to being vegetarian, and that worked for a while. But when I went to uni, then it just became impossible because firstly, I didn't have my mom helping me, with my meals. I didn't have just the freedom to fully be vegetarian. So I actually just started eating meat. I started with just eating fish. So that's pescatarian. And then I just completely went to eating all meat. And I can't lie. I understood why people are like, hey, I can't eat unless there's meat on my plate. I understood. But I think that time in my life, I really noticed how, for example, my skin was glowing. I noticed how I was just, feeling better about my personal contribution to damaging the environment or contributing to animal cruelty. So that's just my personal perspective on what I did. And I'd just really love to hear about what you ladies have done.
Yeah, okay, yo. Mina, first of all, I wouldn't eat. Okay, I do love vegetables and stuff like that, greens, but I'll never leave meat. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. No judgments.
I'm so sorry. But yeah, I've actually contributed to the environment. I think I told you I volunteer at school. So we're in this community engagement thing. So we go out. Yeah. So we did go out. We do go out for in hospitals, in schools. So we help out there with like young kids.
Okay.
Yeah, we help with homeworks. We with a lot of things. Yeah, and also in hospitals as well. We help with a lot of like chores that are happening in hospitals, basically. So yeah.
So in terms of helping in the hospitals, working with the young kids, you're teaching them about recycling, you're trying to implement ways of, not really having too much waste, that sort of thing.
They do have, but we're not really in that in terms of actually talking or educating them about recycling, stuff like that. No, we're only focusing academically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's only like academic stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's really cool. I'm really passionate about the environment. At school, I've been a part of the environmental portfolio on my council. So we do a lot of like climate justice walks. We have sessions after school and competitions in school to build eco bricks and raising awareness and education around climate change. I've also done events with the Climate Change Justice Charter movement, and they do some incredible things about, protesting and actively playing a role in finding more water-wise culture for factories and, getting things done with regards to the environment, getting that justice that's needed.
I love that. Wow, Amani, you've been busy. I'm proud of you, girl. I mean, it's very hard to get into these projects, I think, and especially if you're in high school or academic life, it's just you're so focused on my academics and getting what I need to get done at school that it's very hard to now, put yourself in extra things and get involved in these projects. And I know that, like, when it comes to environment and those sort of projects, you really need to get your hands dirty. You really kind of, it's like labor, And I'm not saying people shouldn't, do it. I'm just saying that I understand why a lot of people might not, especially students or people in high school, might not really be involved like that.
Sure.
However, though, there are a lot of amazing women who are getting their hands dirty and they don't mind, the labor behind caring for the environment. And I'd love us to speak about them. I'm thinking of just this amazing woman who has unfortunately passed on, but her name is Wangari, and she is a Kenyan political activist, but she also pioneered in terms of projects with conservation. And she was actually part of conserving the trees in Kenya. Kenya is actually a country where they have forests, even in the cities. It's crazy. Because I'm thinking about Joburg. You hardly see trees. Or is it just
True.
me?
True.
Like, we're just surrounded by buildings, guys, like,
Yeah.
and
City life.
fields. Right, city life. But you go to Kenya and you see these luscious, beautiful green trees, and you don't actually realize that there was a woman behind that. And I think that's so amazing. She even won a Nobel Peace Prize for it, right? To think that if it wasn't for her hard work in, preserving the environment and caring for the environment, caring for the trees, Kenya would be barren, basically. There wouldn't be any trees. So next time you see beautiful pictures of Kenya with the trees, please think of her. But are there any other women that you can think about or you've heard of who have led in activism for the environment?
Yeah, actually, let's talk about Greta.
Of
But
course.
But
How
first,
can
I
we
want
forget
to
her?
comment on the Wangari part. So she's so determined. I remember she was beaten. She was jailed as
Yes.
well, and harassed because like she was fighting for women's rights, children's rights as well, and also land grabbing. So I feel like, hey, that's too much for a woman to actually take on.
Of course, and at the time, the leadership, it looked like a dictatorship.
Yeah.
So she literally was facing like serious, hindrances to her
Yeah, legal
cause.
aid too.
And I think it was brave. I mean, she really took it seriously. Like,
she did.
I don't think I would have been able to do that. What about
Yeah,
you,
but-
Amani?
I absolutely agree. I think she shows such determination and power, especially as a woman,
Right.
fighting for not only environmental rights, but female rights as well.
Right.
She's just such an inspiration. One of the women that I really inspire in the green space is Hindaru Omari Ibrahim. She's an activist and she works a lot with climate change in the space, especially empowering women and young girls in climate change. And she's done amazing things. She's from Chad and she's won so many prizes, including prizes with the UN. In 2019, she was listed by Time magazine as one of the 15 women who are the best in climate change and advocating for climate change. So she's really, really incredible. She holds summits against climate action and she's really playing an active role in changing the climate sphere and how we view it today.
Wow.
That's nice.
She's amazing. That sounds amazing. I should really look into her. Thank you so much for sharing about Amari. I mean, I think she is incredible. And there are a lot more women who are pioneering in this space and really taking charge, right? And I think we should speak about them. What do you think, Ayanda? Is there any woman that comes to mind? She doesn't even have to be old, like even a young woman that comes to mind who is taking charge in the space.
Oh, well, first of all, I would actually want to comment on Amari Ibrahim. Actually, I like the way she dresses, first of all. Like, she wears African fabrics, so it's more like she's trying to represent who she is and where she comes from. I've never seen her, like, wearing, ties and all of those things, like being very formal. Yeah, so
She's really passionate about bringing out her indigenous side and
Yeah.
rights for indigenous women as well.
yeah, I've seen
And that's a very unique spin of things, because often when women get into a space like this, they feel the need to almost just be like very much like portray this image that we have of climate change activists. So I love how she's still embracing her identity and still empowering indigenous women in, her cause, because I think indigenous women play a huge role in conservation. They should be part of a conversation because a lot of the time they are the ones who are losing their land or losing their homes, in the plight of the environment.
Yeah, so I'd also like to talk about Greta Thunberg.
Of course, how can forget her?
Yeah, first of all, she's my age, guys. She's 21 and she's done so much, like in terms of like raising awareness for climate change as well.
Right.
And she has also risen awareness for health. Yeah, she has autism and also like that. I feel like it has put her in those kinds of spaces. Because I remember in one of her interviews, they asked her, Uti, how is it that she is so like well spoken and she can speak properly while she has like this kind of disorder? And she's like, because I'm unique. And she started talking about how autism kind of like is something that is behind her being in front of people and like talking about and raising awareness about climate action and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yes, and I love Greta. I mean, especially for the younger generations today, like Gen Z, we often look at her on social media. She's everywhere, and she's promoting such a strong message about how it's, the future generations. We're going to have to deal with the climate problems at hand. The generations of today, whatever they're going to do, they're not going to be here to have to deal with it. We will. And I think that powerful message of her, like, you have taken away my future. She's just so strong and outspoken. She really makes such an impact.
Yeah, and for the fact that she's just going for big people like presidents, like she's gone for what's this, Vladimir Putin, the Russian president. So you can see like her courage is very much there, and she really wants this to be done and this climate change to just, yeah.
I honestly think she's an icon as well, and I love that you brought her up, Ayanda. And I love both of your contributions and comments. I totally agree. The fact that what you mentioned, her struggling with autism or Asperger's, is the fact that there's also that mental health stigma, or mental disorders, mental illnesses stigma that comes with that. And the fact that she has shown people that even in your pursuit of a cause, you don't have to hide yourself. It's the same sentiment with Amari, how she is not afraid to also show her identity in her pursuit of her cause, how she uplifts Indigenous women and she shows up in her Afrocentric attire. I think that's amazing. I think it's so inspiring in that regard, that you can still really embrace who you are and not let any of the stigmas and people trying to stop you in pursuit of your cause, and especially in something as important as the environment and climate change that's affecting our daily lives. And I'm just thinking of the guest that we have today who's going to be joining us, and she is also a woman of note when it comes to her cause, and we're going to get to ask her a few questions about the amazing work that she's done, and I think that's going to be really exciting and also just very much in tune with what we've been discussing and the women that we've brought up in the conversation.
Awesome. Let's give her a call.
We are just going to hop onto a call with her and, ask her questions. I hope you two are excied because I'm very excited.
Yeah, we are.
I'm even dressed for the occasion. I hope everyone is just taking a moment to appreciate me being in line with the theme, green and growing. But anyway, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
That's what she said. Hi, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
We're just so impressed by the amazing work that you're doing. I mean, Food for Education has created a sustainable model of effectively providing locally sourced, high quality, nutritious meals to public primary school children. And that's essential considering that poverty, and especially in terms of nutrition, is a global problem, not just an African problem, as we've been framed negatively to be the only ones who struggle with it, but it's a global problem. So that is something that is absolutely essential as part of what we should be concerned. I've also read that you have managed to feed over 500 million children in Africa.
Well, we've fed 40 million meals since inception. We started in 2012. It was started by a young Kenyan lady. And she realized basically that the children in nearby school weren't able to concentrate in class. And so she set up a basic kitchen and started cooking for 25 kids. And that's grown to 300,000 kids that we're now feeding every single school day. So it's
Wow.
impressive what we've been able to do. And you're right on the money when you said it's a global problem. It's not just an African problem or.
Wow. And I love that you just mentioned a little bit about how it started, that it was started by a woman, because on the episode about green and growing, we are very concerned about women specifically who are taking charge and taking up space in terms of sustainable green solutions. And we're obviously trying to aspire towards that as young women ourselves as well. We want to be part of that, as change makers, and considering this is our generation, we really are concerned about how we can be involved in stuff like this. So it's really amazing, and we would be honored to hear a little bit more about the work that you've done, and just, talking a little bit about the accomplishments. Obviously, without speaking too much, I just want to give you to do all the talking.
Okay. Right. Like I said, we started in 2012, feeding 25 young learners in a public primary school, and that has grown exponentially. And I can say the reason why we've been able to scale to the level that we have and provide a unique solution to international as well as local donors, that comes down to our model and the fact that our model is efficient and it's scalable, and it's something that we are dedicated to mainstreaming and sharing as well. So we have centralized cooking that increases the efficiency of our operations. So we set up kitchens with the capacity of 10,000 to more recently 60,000 meals. Our Giga Kitchen is the largest kitchen, and it's the largest kitchen in Africa at the moment. The way we cook meals in that Giga Kitchen is we actually use steam. And the way we generate that steam is using eco briquettes. So we burn the eco briquettes, which is basically a brick of compressed waste material, so sawdust or wood chippings. So we burn that to generate steam, and then we use the steam to cook the food. We also used the additional steam to disinfect, and then additional steam that's cooled down, we use it for other purposes, other water purposes in the kitchen. The other thing is actually we use technology in our school feeding model. So the kids on our program have these brightly colored orange watches, and they're called tap to eat watches. And it operates the same way as somebody's debit card or credit card. Parents top up money into a virtual wallet. And then when the kids come up on the lunch line to serve, the money is transferred by tapping the watch onto our devices, and then they get the food. So we serve the meals at a subsidized cost, just to make sure that as many families as possible can afford it. And the technology allows us to track the kids that are on our program. You see how often they're eating lunch, how long they've been in the program. So these are things that have made our model unique and attractive to get funding from international and local donors. So far, it's a story that we're all proud of. And you're right.
Wow.
Women-led, over 70% of the staff is women. So it's an organization where we are really at the forefront of sustainable school feeding, as well as ensuring that our infrastructure and the way we run things is climate friendly.
Wow. I don't know how many times I said wow the whole time, just like wow. That is absolutely incredible. Wow. Honestly, I'm mind blown.
Well, I'm also like really inspired by the work For Food does, My question but is that why is it what you do important, and how are you able to like try to keep it in a sustainable manner, Nicola? What are you hoping to achieve with that as well?
I'm so glad you've asked that question.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that sometimes when you talk about school meals, people don't understand the significance of what it is, right? It's not just delivering a meal to a child, but there's a lot that goes behind that. You are ensuring that they have the energy to concentrate in class. You're
Yeah.
ensuring that the parents as well, you're offsetting the economic to provide for the kids for that day. You are taking the development of the local community into play when you're setting up a school feeding program. There's one interesting impact indicator that we found is that the school meals that we provide have reduced the when girls are going through puberty, there is an additional need on nutrients, especially with menstruation. And so if you don't provide those nutrients, you risk fainting in the day. And that's a horrible thing to have to go through. So school feeding is a important a solution, not just to the children or the parents, but also to the local community. It's a holistic approach that touches on education, health, as well as agriculture. And when you take in this climate-friendly angle, then you have the environment as well that benefits from a climate-friendly school feeding program. It's one thing for me to share what we're doing. I really wish I could have you guys here and show you the scales and have you engage with some of the women who are working in food for education. We have women who are cooks in our central kitchens, and they happen to also be parents. So they end up, the food that they're preparing is going directly to their own kids. They have shared how they really like the kitchen. We have machines to just make things easier. So we've got a vegetable cutter, we've got a washer, so it becomes easier for them in their roles. We want our work to be impactful to those that we serve and those who are helping us make this impact, and to just give them their freedom, their time back, to allow them to do, anything else that they want to do in their lives.
Oh, wow. That is just so amazing and so heartwarming as well. Especially even students, university students can relate to that because I'm part of medical school council and I'm actually the fundraising and outreach officer there. And something that I've done is worked with Gift of the Givers to provide food packs to students. And I've seen students even cry in the line when they're getting the packs because it makes such an impact. I don't think we realize just how important it is for people to get that providence when they're struggling, you know? And so, I don't know, just hearing this just made me think of them too. And I'm kind of getting a bit emotional. I'm just like, because I can
Oh,
just imagine, how it feels and just how much of an impact you're making, especially for that mother and many more other mothers. So are there any partnerships or sponsorships that you have been able to actually get on board to help you and they've made a significant impact? And what was that impact in terms of how they've helped make the foundation a success?
Oh my goodness. We've been lucky enough to have many partners come on board with us, partners who believe in what we do. The list is fortunately fairly long, and I don't want to name too many in case I forget one, because each and every single one is very important. I can speak about the fact that we've actually been able to work with county governments, and that's something that's really important. So in addition to getting funding and getting sponsorship from organizations and international institutions, we've also been able to have school feeding programs be funded by government, which is great because when government owns it, the scale really increases. And then it means that it's something that's owned by government and something that's owned by the constituents as well. And this is something that's great. It means we're going to be feeding upwards of 250,000 learners within that region. The French government came in to support by, providing funding that would go to providing free meals to identified vulnerable learners within the county. So there is a lot of support coming in, and we're very grateful to each and every one of our partners. And we're very grateful to the county governments who are working with us at the moment.
What do you think the future looks like for your foundation? And do you think it could be possible to implement it even beyond primary schools, perhaps maybe tertiary education? What are your thoughts around that?
Wow. The future, at the risk of sounding cliche, the future looks bright. There's a lot of exciting things in the horizon, and we're really looking forward to making our way towards it. what we want to do is mainstream school feeding and share our efficient school feeding model across the continent. So yes, we want to see school feeding programs taking up and thriving across Africa. And we want to see an end to classroom hunger. We want more and more children to be able to get a meal when they get to school. That guarantee that when they go to class, at least that day, they will get a hot and nutritious meal. That's something that I think should be a public right. And that's something that children deserve at the very least.
Wow, thank you so much. That is just, I don't know, mind-blowing. I'm still So thank you so much for your time and for sharing about Food for Education with us. It's been incredible. It's been inspiring. I feel humbled. I'm just like, I wish I could come there. I want to see
Oh, you're
too.
most welcome. You are most
Be part of
welcome.
it
Let me know when you
too.
get here. Thank you so much for having me on here. It's an honor.
Again, it's a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
That's what she said. That was so interesting. And I mean, we wouldn't be doing any justice if we don't actually have the conversation for ourselves and percolate on what are possible solutions that we could implement. What role can we play in conservation? And I think we should have this conversation because we're the next generation of change makers in that regard. So I would love to get your ladies' perspective and ideas around that.
Yeah, I think it's so important, as you said, we are the next generation of change makers. We should be looking at how we can be more environmentally friendly in our everyday lives, whether it be, recycling or making eco bricks or planting in your garden at home.
Right.
It's small things that we can do. It's small, affordable things that we can do that can really make an impact. Even saving more water than we usually do, eating less red meat. Small things that can make such a huge impact are really amazing.
Yeah, I think we can like craft more. Like if ever you buy something from the shops, you cannot just throw it away. And you can just do more DIYs, And yeah, what else you can do is we can shop online, reducing carbon emissions. And shopping online is actually much safer than actually taking a car and going to the stores.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love what you guys are saying, especially this idea of small, affordable ways in which we can play a role. But I think in the larger scale, there are real challenges and challenges that we need to speak about that one might face in pursuit of, implementing sustainable ways of preserving the environment and conservation, and just like how we could possibly surmount those challenges.
I think obviously there's a lot of costing that also comes with producing very environmentally friendly things. Like if we were able to make, things that are better for the environment more affordable, then everybody would be using it, As well as, companies, for them to also create more sustainability within their own companies, it's more expensive. So I think if we look at more long-term goals like selecting better renewable energy sources, we can look at more sustainable ways of living and especially making more environmentally friendly products more sustainable. Plastic, for example, takes 20 to 500 years to decompose. There was a statistic I looked at on the United Nations website. 8.3 billion tons is, for example, the plastic that's ever made. And in the past 13 years, half of that has already been produced.
Whoa, that's insane. And I think part of it though is mindset, right? Or even perspective, because especially if you think about the younger generation, like they started introducing those straws that are made from, what is that material? It's like those paper
Yeah,
straws,
like, no.
as opposed to plastic straws, because you just brought up the whole plastic thing. And everyone hates those straws. Like,
Me
I
too.
don't know how many people I've heard, like, my friends just be like, ugh, why did they make these straws? They're so annoying.
Yeah,
Bring
they have
back plastic straws.
aftertaste as well.
That aftertaste and everything. And it just makes me think about mindset, perspective, and how young people just really have this idea that being environmentally friendly, caring for the environment is very daunting. It's very uncool. We're not interested in it. We don't get it. We actually don't get it. We don't understand why it's important, because social media also has this opposing agenda. This agenda of we should be consumerists, like we should buy so much because that is the aesthetic way of living. But the aesthetic way of living is so often detrimental to our environment, right? If you think of skincare, even as girls, we love our skincare routines, you know. But if you look at what the agenda is, it's buy so many skincare products. But a lot of the time, less is more, actually. And the more skin products you collect, the more plastic bottles,
Yeah,
you know, you're collecting. And it's actually not even healthy for your skin to have so much, you know, like on it. So I think it's things like that, our perspective, our mindset, opposing agendas, you know, from these big corporate companies.
But I think on that, it speaks a lot to consumer culture.
Right.
When things in media are, become trendy, then everybody wants to buy into it. I remember, with the whole metal straw things, nobody wanted to use metal straws until it became a trend, until everyone was like, oh, metal straws only, I only use my metal straw. You whip it out in the restaurant, metal straw only.
Yeah.
Because it became trendy to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to move towards, with being environmentally friendly, is to make this apparent to everyone that it's actually important, as much as a trend it should be your everyday lifestyle to be recycling.
But I feel like, as young people really find it so uncool to keep the environment like a safe space for us to actually live there. There are a lot of things that we can do. Like engaging in initiatives, sustainable initiatives. We can like volunteer, like I am. We don't like boring spaces. So if ever like they'll try to lure us with like maybe food or like incentives and we can actually go there and at the back of our minds it's like all vibes and stuff like that, but we don't really, but we still getting the job done, which is like caring for the environment, doing all of those things, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I think part of it is definitely trying to make it trendy, and part of it is definitely trying to incite young people with things that they are interested in and still make caring for the environment a cool thing. Although I feel that is so unfortunate that as this young, like our generation, it's all about things that excite us, and it's always about things that are cool and almost instant gratification. We need to be lured, we need to be incentivized. Like, why can't we just care? Why can't we just do it, guys? Like, it's your future. As you mentioned, Greta literally keeps saying, this is the future we're going to live in. What do you think this future is going to look like if we don't care for the literal planet that we live in? There's only one Earth. It's irreplaceable. And the fact that we don't care, we're just there living. We're just there, carbon emissions there, plastic there, what there. And it's like, what do you think Earth is going to look like in the next years,
And not to mention, I'm sure you know about this as a medical student, about the health effects it has, with climate change and breathing. And, this is going to cause so much more detrimental health effects for generations to come, like the place and how we're living in, the state in which we're living in. If it's not going to be a clean environment, how are we going to mutate and how are we going to revolutionize ourselves as a human beings?
I totally agree, and I love that you also mentioned that, because we've recently learned that there's a huge spike in cancer, right? Like exponential increase, because it directly correlates to the lifestyle that we're leading. It directly correlates to how we are living, right, in this digital age and the capitalist age, it's actually so detrimental to our bodies and our health. So caring for the environment and choosing to lead a more environmentally friendly lifestyle actually positively impacts your health. You might think it's an external thing, but it's actually also very internal. The more you care about the environment around you, the better you actually care for yourself internally, right? And I agree, it's the food we eat, it's the stuff we put on our skin, it's even as external as, things like, I don't know, plastic and all of these things. Like, those things lying around actually also, have fumes that we can't see that are also detrimental to our health. So it's even just like what we are surrounding ourselves with. So people don't deep it, but it's deep, guys. It's deep.
It is.
It is that deep, when we look at, policies and leadership. What are the leaders of today putting in? What are the regulations they're saying to put, stops on how much of carbon emissions are emitted from factories, and
Right.
how much of energy is being used, how sustainable are their fuels in the country. We should be looking at how we can help to see other companies and stop them from landfills and the way that they're disputing their water systems, making those policies apparent in our everyday lives, because that's going to create change for us and them.
I totally agree. I love that you brought up that point of policies and targeting the leaders, right? And of course, it's going to be quite a huge challenge, but it's very, very integral in our, interest in fighting for the environment, right? And I think that also just brings me to this idea or thought that I had. If you had the chance to be a powerful leader and you could make the laws, right? Let's talk environment though. What laws would you put in place? Like, let's say it could be anything. Like, you just have the power to implement it now. What would you guys do?
Okay, so for me, I would put a law where there is no cutting of trees.
Okay, girl.
Yeah, so like because as much as it contributes to like companies making money and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but it contributes negatively into the environment.
Of
It
course.
causes wildfires. The whole ecosystem of like animals that live in those kind of spaces. They lose their homes, food and stuff like that. So I would definitely yeah.
I agree. I mean, you look at a tree and you don't think that there's so many animals dependent on
Yeah.
that, just that ecosystem. And it's not just, oh, trees give us oxygen. It's a lot of interlocking ecosystems that contribute to the overall health of the earth when you're cutting down a tree. So I love that you were very also adamant. You just like, yeah, I'm stopping everyone who
Yeah.
wants to cut down a tree, I love that. It's definitely giving powerful leader. Amani, any ideas around that?
As I spoke about restrictions,
Right.
I would put restrictions on companies, the way that they are disposing of their water systems, the amount of greenhouse gases they are emitting, and how much of the fuels that they're using and burning, putting restrictions on that to really create a change, and lessen down the percentage of greenhouse gases that we emit per annum.
I love that. Wow, that's also very comprehensive. It's like you've really thought it through in those few minutes. Like, you've been thinking, girl. I love that. And I think I just really love your ideas around that, both of you, because it's just really important to maybe put yourself in that perspective and think about, what would I do, right? Because we need to be the ones thinking right now, right? Again, it's our future that we need to care for. If I had to think about it as, a powerful leader who could pass a law with regards to environment, I think what I would do is, I'm sorry, I have to go back to my vegetarian days. I would make sure that every household reduces their meat consumption. Especially in South Africa, guys say nyama, and guys, it's not really necessary for us to eat that much meat. Let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest. So my law would definitely be around meat consumption. Don't fight me. It's good for your health. Doctor's orders. So yeah, that's what I would do. But it's really been lovely speaking about this with you ladies. I think this conversation is definitely ongoing. You know, it's something that you really need to sit down and think about, of course. And I hope that individually we'll do that. And I hope maybe we've inspired young people who are in that space or interested in being in that space to pursue it, because again, it's our future. And that brings us to the end of yet another banging episode on That's What She Said. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
That's what she said.